Welcome. In the last session, I was discussing about asexual reproductive methods. So, few methods which I have discussed in the last session. So, we shall continue in this session also about those asexual reproduction methods. Right. The next asexual reproduction method, it includes fragmentation. So here fragmentation is dividing or breaking down of the body into pieces. So here if the body breaks down into pieces, then each piece can develop into a new individual, and in that case the process is called the fragmentation, which is also an asexual method of reproduction. Like we see such type of asexual reproduction in case of Hydra. So here Hydra, if its body gets accidentally cut into say 3 pieces, so accidentally the body of Hydra cut into 3 pieces, then each piece is going to develop completely. The rest of the portion which is lost will be regenerated, and then the part of the Hydra will become complete individual. That you can see here the Hydra body is divided into 3 parts, and each part has developed into a new individual. So this process we call it fragmentation. Now up to now we have seen the fission, which is binary fission and multiple fission. So the multiple fission and binary fission both we have seen in case of amoeba, and multiple fission in amoeba we can also call it sporulation. Then we have seen about budding process, and we have seen gemule formation, and we also have seen about asexual spore formation, right? And then we have seen today fragmentation, and then one more method of asexual reproduction method is vegetative propagation. Now what is the vegetative propagation? So here the meaning of vegetative propagation is that if the parts of the plant develop into new individuals, right? Of course, here the parts of the plant other than the flower. I can say parts of the plant other than flower can develop into new individuals. So if it is the case, then we call that process as vegetative propagation, which is a asexual mode of reproduction. Now the part that develops into new individual, or the part of the plant that develops into new individual, is called the vegetative propagule. Part of the plant that develops into a new individual is called vegetative propagule. So it is a part of the plant, so that can be any part of the plant. Sometimes the leaves will develop into new individuals, the roots will develop into new individuals, the stem also give rise to new individuals. So I am not talking about the flower. So if we talk about the flower, then we will be entering into the sexual mode of reproduction. So So that's why I have mentioned here the vegetative propagation, where the parts of the plant other than the flower can develop into new individuals. If it is the case, then that process we call it vegetative propagation, and that part of the plant which develops into new individual is called the vegetative propagules. So now let's see examples of these vegetative propagules. It includes runners, right? Then suckers. So runners, suckers are a type of vegetative propagules which I will be discussing each one of it in detail. Then we have rhizome, so tubers, and right, bulbs and bulbils, and then leaf buds or adventitious buds, then offsets, so etc. are all these vegetative propagules. Runners, suckers, rhizome, tubers, bulbils, leaf buds, which are also called the adventitious buds, right? And offsets, etc. are all the vegetative propagules. Now I shall discuss each one of these vegetative propagules right in detail. So let's look at the first one called runner. So let's see about the runners. So these runners are seen in case of plants that have weak stems. So these runners are actually weak creeping stems, right? So usually they will be growing horizontal to the surface of the soil. So say this is a soil surface. On this soil surface, on this soil surface, so the plant will be showing. This is the stem, and you can see here the stem grows horizontally to the soil surface, and wherever it comes in contact with the soil, it can form roots at that point. So usually the node of the stem which comes in contact here can result in the formation of these roots. So here these are roots, and this is a runner, and right, you can see here the plant showing. Now even if this runner is cut, right, this part of the plant will be developing on its own. So hence the runners will help in propagation. So that is increasing in the number of those individuals, or they help in the process of reproduction. That is asexual reproduction, because this stem, right, is a part of the vegetative body, right? And as I already mentioned that what actually is a vegetative propagation, the meaning of vegetative propagation is development of any part of the plant into a new individual except the flowers. Now such runners you may see in case of strawberries. So strawberries can form example where you will be seeing these runners. Like the next one, let's see about suckers. So sucker will be developing from a stem below the soil. So you can see here this is the stem, Okay, so this is a small portion of the stem below the soil, and this is the root, and from here you may see a small plant starts developing here, and it grows obliquely up to the surface of the soil and then emerges out as a new plant. So as a new plant it emerges, right? So this one we call it the sucker. It's called sucker. So such suckers you can see even in case of the banana. In case of banana we see these suckers, and in case of chrysanthemum, then mentha, etc. In them you may find such suckers. So now even though if you cut this, right, this will be able to grow on its own. Will be able to grow on its own. So that's the asexual reproductive structure, which is called sucker. Then the next vegetative propagule called rhizome. Next one, see about rhizome. So rhizome we can see in case of ginger, right? So here this rhizome is underground stem. So it's an underground stem, and this one grows horizontally under the soil. It grows horizontally under the soil. It's an underground stem, or in fact unfavorable conditions, the shoot system of that might have damage, and the stem will remain dormant under the soil. So you can see in this case, so it will be showing the nodes and internodes. And there will be scale leaves also present on it. Okay, so here say this is the shoot. So this is the shoot system, and this is the underground stem that is modified, and it's called the rhizome. So where you will see here, this is a scale leaf, and these are nodes. So they are nodes, and this space between these two is internode. So we know that stem can be identified by the presence of nodes. So roots will not be having nodes. Only stems will have these nodes, and between the nodes the gaps are called internodes. That we can clearly see on ginger, and it clearly indicates it's an underground stem. So during unfavorable conditions, if the conditions here they become so difficult for the shoot to be present, then it may get destroyed. But this stem, which is present below the soil, remains perfectly in good condition during that unfavorable conditions. And once the conditions become favorable, then we will be seeing the development of a shoot again back from those nodes. Right. So that's about rhizome, where this rhizome can also be seen in the case of banana. Banana also shows rhizome, and also it shows the presence of suckers. Right. Then let's see about the next vegetative propagule called tubers. So tubers are also underground stems or roots. So tubers are actually either stems or roots that store food materials. So tubers are either stems or roots that will be storing the food materials here. So that's why the stems which are present under the soil and are able to store the food materials are called the stem tubers. Whereas the other ones who store the food materials and remain under the soil in case of roots, so this is a root tuber. So here it is root modification, right, and this one is a stem modification. So stem modified to become stem tubers, like we see in case of potato. Whereas in case of root tubers, example, the carrot and radish are examples of these root tubers. So here the root modifies and starts storing the food materials. Okay, so in this case the root modifies and stores food materials. Whereas in case of stem tubers, where stem stores food materials and they remain underground, so they remain under the soil. Now when we see in case of the potato, so you may find on potato ice, right? So this is each one is a eye that we see in case. So from where we can see a development of the shoot system. Right. So these eyes are actually the axillary buds, and these axillary buds have the ability to develop the shoot system. So from this the shoot system develops. So all these are the axillary buds, what you see, eyes, and this is a scale leaf, what you see on that, where you find the axillary bud that can develop into the shoot system. So potato, which as I mentioned, it's a stem modification and is the one that stored food material and will remain dormant toward the unfavorable conditions below the soil, and when the conditions return back normal, then the axillary buds present in the potato will start sprouting and then give rise to the shoots. Right. In case of this root tubers also, as we have seen in carrots, so here also we will be seeing it's a root modification, and it also has it's stored food materials, and it can remain dormant throughout the unfavorable conditions, and when conditions return, then it starts developing the shoot system. So you can see here, so this is the shoot system developing, right, the root, that is the root tuber. Right, so that's all about these tubers. The next type of vegetative propagule we shall see about offsets. So the next one is offset. So here offset are usually seen in case of aquatic plants. So in aquatic plants we see them, right, which are floating in aquatic plants. Of course, that's floating on surface of water. Aquatic plants floating on surface of water, like example Ecornia crassipis, then Pistia, etc. are examples. So this Ecornia crassipis is commonly called water hyacinth. It's commonly called water hyacinth and also called the terror of Bengal. Right, it is not actually native of India. It was brought from somewhere else into India, right? And it was brought to India for its beautiful flowers, and shape of leaves. So for this purpose, they have introduced this Aconia crassipes into India. And what happened is, as it's a aquatic weed, so this water hyacinth is a aquatic weed, and it started to grow like means it has a very much faster way of reproducing through this asexual method. That's by producing these offsets, and in very short period of time it started to occupy almost all the aquatic bodies, especially the standing waters or the stagnant waters which don't show any flow, not in the rivers. In fact, they are seen mostly grow in lakes, grow in ponds and reservoirs. So it occupies most of these ponds, lakes throughout India. And the Aconia crassipes is, as we know, has called it a terror of Bengal. And here the problem with this Aconia growing in huge numbers is that it will be removing oxygen from the aquatic bodies in which it is growing. So it removes oxygen. So it removes oxygen from aquatic bodies. As a result, when oxygen is removed from the aquatic bodies, it will result in death of fish. So this one results in death of the fish. Right, because hypoxia conditions can happen, means low oxygen conditions, right, or in fact no completely absence of oxygen in the water can result in the death of many other aquatic organisms, mostly the fish, right. So that's a small information on this Aconia crassipes, which is the world's most problematic aquatic weed. So this is the world's most problematic aquatic weed. So this one grows very fastly on the aquatic water bodies, right? And it was introduced to India due to its beautiful flowers, especially those are blue in color. Those are blue flowers. It has blue flowers, right? And also it has a very beautiful shape of these leaves. So for this, it was introduced in India, and as it's an aquatic weed, it started to grow very quickly, right? And it has also impact on the aquatic water bodies just by removing the oxygen. So it removes the oxygen, and because of that, it will result in the death of the aquatic fishes. So now let's see how this offset in the Aconia helps it to propagate. So here the offsets they develop from a condensed stem. So in Aconia crassipes, or in case of Pistia, so the stem is condensed, and it will be like a flat structure on which on the top of it you may see the development of the leaves in the rosette manner. So you will see the leaves developing in the rosette manner, right? And below that you will see, so this is the condensed stem. This is the condensed stem, and these are the leaves in rosette and then they are arranged like a petals of a rose. So that's what the meaning here, leaves in a rosette manner. And here, so this is the condensed system. From this condensed system, you will see development of a structure that grows horizontally on the surface of. So this is the surface of the. So this is the water. And on the surface of the water you can see a structure grows here, and then the tip of this will be having again a condensed stem, on which again you will be seeing the growth of the leaves and then the roots. So this is the new individual, right? And this is the one here called offset. So this is what which I have shown in case of pistia. So in case of pistia, right, so you will see the offset which giving rise to new individual, and even though if it is cut, this one will be able to develop on its own. So this is how we see the offset in case of some plants which will help in propagation. So that is the asexual mode of reproduction. Right. So then, so the next one, let's look at another vegetative propagule called bulb. So that we can see in case of onion, right? So that's alien. Now here also in case of bulb, the stem. So this is a stem is condensed into flat structure. So if you see it from the top, you will be seeing somewhat like this. So these circles, I can say the nodes, and between spaces are the internodes, right? And from the top this is, and if you see it from the side, so you will be seeing just like the flat structure how you have seen in case of the offset too. And here on one side, on the top of this, you will see the leaves, okay, which became what I said, the scale leaves, and those leaves will be storing some water and food materials, small amount of food materials, okay. So this is how you will be seeing. So at the center you have is the apical bud. So this is a terminal bud or apical bud you have, and in between here you will find the axillary buds. So these can give rise to new plants. So this is the condensed stem. And these are scale leaves, and you can see on the condensed stem below it you will see the development of the roots. So these are the roots developed, right? So this is how you will be seeing in case of the bulb or onion. Of course, this apical bud can grow into the shoot. So that grows into the shoot or into the shoot system. So this is the shoot development, right? Whereas the axillary buds can also develop and give rise to the shoots. So where you can separate them and then can grow them separately. So I have a question that how do onions are grown? So means agriculturally, how the farmers will raise these onions? Are they going to use this asexual mode of reproduction or the sexual mode of reproduction? So which one they are going to use this? So just you find it out. So the next one we shall see is about the bulbil. Next, so the next one is bulbil. So this bulbil is a modified vegetative or floral bud. Is a modified or vegetative floral bud, right? And this one is also capable of developing into a new individual, right? And these floral buds, right, that modified to form the bulbils. So these bulbils, when separated from the parent body, bulbils when separated from parent body, so they develop into new individuals. Right? So like you see this one in case of a cave. So a cave, Americana is the name. You can see here, this is the bulbil. So these bulbils will be developing on the plant. So they develop on the plant, okay, right. So this is just I have drawn a small structure of this bulbil. And these bulbils, when they detach from the parent body, they can grow into new individuals, right. Then the next one we shall see about the leaf buds. So here in case of a plant named Bryophyllum, in case of this plant called Bryophyllum, you will find notches on the leaves. So these are the notches present on the leaf, right? So these are all the notches present on the leaf, and on these notches you will find something called adventitious buds. So there are adventitious buds, and these adventitious buds will be start to develop the roots and the small leaves. You can see here develop on these notches. So here these are the roots. So you will be seeing the growth of these small plants. So these are the new plants developed on the notches. And when these new plants detach from this leaf and fall onto the soil, each one of these will develop into a new individual. So in this case, these small leaf buds are the one that actually help in propagation of the plant. So so these are various types of asexual reproductive structure. So where we have seen about the runners, right, the suckers, then we have seen about the tubers, then bulbs, bulbils, and then the leaf buds are various vegetative propagules which help in developing new individuals and help in spreading the plant or increasing the number of that plant species. And with this, I have finished the methods of asexual reproduction. In the next session, I shall discuss about the sexual method of reproduction.